So I'm going through old files and trying to dump a lot of stuff, and it's so hard to dump this stuff. And going through it really made me proud because it really put dates on some of the things we were reporting on, it timestamps that really highlighted how special the Higher Truth channel really was and is. This is from a satellite. It's hard to find these anymore, but I think it's from Soho. It's extreme UV from 2007 to 2013, going into solar maximum. You would expect energy to go up on the sun, and sometimes the energies, sometimes the energies have no regard for low sunspots, and in the 2007 solar minimum saw no decrease in energies. But this is extreme UV, and especially in the 30 nanometer range, you're talking about the range of energy caused when helium becomes ionized. Now, for this kind of a dramatic increase to show up around 2011, 2010, you would say would seem to be counterintuitive to the fact that the sun itself is not supposed to be fusing a whole lot of helium. It's supposed to be fusing hydrogen into helium. So when you see trillions of watts of increase of energy just over the matter of 6 years of an energy that caused by ionization of helium, you have to ask, well, is our sun becoming a red giant, or is there more helium in the solar system? If so, what brought it here? And of course, our planet wouldn't be the only one affected. It would be the entire solar system. And I found this article. I had forgotten I had it. A very credible article by Art Rosenblum, and talks about not the heating atmospheres, but the changing atmospheres. Right when we were noticing these changes, and it wasn't being widely reported. This is about the ocean buoy system in 2014. The title of this article, I do believe, was Oceans Hotter Than Expected. So in 2014 is when we first called your attention to record warm oceans and what that meant for weather and what that meant as a symptom of solar system heating. We talked about, this is 2016, about how the tornadoes were going to become more severe. And now what do we have today? We have broken tornado records. So, and that's 3 years ago we were warning about these days coming. And, you know, people who debunk the changing atmospheres of the planet, some of them are getting colder. I don't know of any planet that's getting colder. I really don't. Unless they're talking about a dwarf planet on the other side of the sun. But the visual changes alone, what you can see with your own two eyes with just a regular telescope, that's all the power of information that one really needs. But we can see the northern hemisphere of Saturn change drastically. That hexagon, by the way, is created by resistance against a twirling, swirling motion. Here's one about proposing that mass extinctions were caused by comet showers and periodic extinctions and comet collisions. And they talk about what? And the Nemesis orbits are addressed. Orbit of Nemesis. Here's another. I mean, all of these are out of, this is crazy. This one's out of a science journal, and it's talking about astronomy. And what is so cool about it, it references the Weiss Sky Survey. Wow, this is what this means. First, they want an updated dynamical standard analysis of the outer Oort cloud cometary evidence, suggesting that the Sun has a wide binary Jovian mass companion. That means something that's as strong as Jupiter. The results support a conjecture. The results support a conjecture that there exists a companion of mass, approximately 1 to 4, probably Jupiter masses, orbiting the innermost regions of the outer Oort cloud. Evidence of a putative companion would have been recorded by what? A wide-field infrared survey explorer known as Weiss. Now wait a minute. It's the Weiss Sky Survey that Astro Traveler first pointed out a brown dwarf in Aquarius. And we had been beating that drum for so long, and then Astro Traveler finds it on the Weiss Sky Survey, and now there's even reference to it on the Weiss Sky Survey, and then a year and a half after Astro Traveler shows it on the Weiss Sky Survey, NASA has a big hyped conference, a press conference on an object, a brown dwarf, mind you, coming or found just below the ecliptic in the constellation Aquarius. So we were preaching that 2014, a brown dwarf in Aquarius. We had switched from Leo. Here's another science. These are science journals. It has been recently proposed that the observed grouping of either the perihelia and the orbital planes of some observed distant Kuiper belt objects can be explained by the shepherding influence of a remote, still unseen, massive object, PX. Hello, here's another science article. It has been suggested that the observed periodic extinctions of species at intervals of 26 million years may be catalyzed by a hypothetical stellar companion to the Sun called Nemesis. Okay, now we know that Nemesis comes every 3,600 years, and that when you talk about extinctions, you have to be careful. We have oceanic extinctions every 10 to 20,000 years. That fits a 3,600 year model better. Recent analysis have shown, here's another one, the distant orbits within the scattered disk population of the Kuiper belt exhibit an unexpected clustering of their respective arguments of perihelion. Wow. When several hypotheses have been put forward to explain the alignments, to date, a theoretical model can successfully account for the observation remains elusive. Oh yeah, elusive. So, but anyways, what do they talk about? They're talking about, again, Nemesis and Planet X. And they're talking again about an inclined orbit. Huh? Amazing. And they even, last line, talks about the mass of a distant yet unseen planet. Here's another science, one after another, about Nemesis, Planet X. We use the correction to the standard Newtonian Einstein perihelia precessions of the inner planets of the solar system to recently estimate by E.V. Pitjiva by fitting a huge planetary data set with the dynamic models of the EPM ephemerides to put constraints on certain hypothetical placements of planet X. And what they found, this is what they found, that a Mars-sized body can be found at no less than 70 to 85 AU to cause such perturbations and changes in the solar system and the moon. So something as small as Mars being 70 AU astronomical units away, that's way out there. That's out beyond Neptune. So that could change and cause the changes we see today. So it would be that easy to throw off the solar system, especially if something like a brown dwarf came wandering by or through or underneath our solar system. This one means just hits a special spot because the Higher Truth channel was one of the first channels pointing out the first phase disturbance ever noticed in the moon. And it occurred on July 2nd, 2015. A recent analysis of a lunar laser ranging, so they're using lasers, spanning a 38.7-year cycle, revealed an anomalous increase in the eccentricity of the lunar orbit amounting to, and they even have the components that are quantifying that eccentricity. What kind of eccentricity? More elliptical. That would bring it closer to Earth at times and create more supermoons. Hello, can we put the pieces together? The present-day model of the dissipative phenomenon occurring in the interiors of both the Earth and the Moon are not able to explain. So it's really not a secular cause, even though at the end of this article they say it's a secular cause. No matter what they say after this, no matter what they say about momentum, no matter what they say about other objects in the solar system, they're admitting the moon's orbit was off. But, if you went out inside and watched the moon every night like we did, then, of course, you would already know that. The heating of the solar system would also include Earth, and therefore the oceanic heating should predictably spike our carbon footprint. And the one of methane is the one that we should all be concerned about. You should forget about carbon dioxide. You can see it's not spiking near like the runaway methane event. And remember, it's the Higher Truth channel. You heard it here. We're saying we are in a runaway methane event. We're saying it. We're calling it. We've been saying it, and we've been calling it. Anybody else? Anybody else? In the presence of a brown dwarf in the solar system, it was so obvious on some of these models, and people try to bash the model, but this shows a higher density wind traveling roughly in an opposite direction as the sun's wind. Of course, this is highly subjective, 2 dimensions. Some of the sun's wind comes out as a spiral, but that's why we have exactly what you see today, because the wind coming in is traveling roughly in the direction of the spiral wind, not the wind coming directly straight off the sun. So yeah, if there's that kind of stuff in the solar system, it should affect our surface plasma. This is 17 nanometer, and you can see horizontal rotations going on and appear to be affected by external influence. In the background, you see an active region where the electron loops are illuminated so high because of the density of the helium. But you also see massive tornadic-like vortices. And we're going to play this one through again because there's too much to see. But what's going on is that there you can see significant tornado-like activity, and those tornadoes, that line, they call them filaments sometimes, but there's a line of tornadoes, and they actually draw in material from the outer corona. It's really the inner corona, but in this picture, it's the outer corona because it's so tightly cropped. So again, here's that horizontal rotation on the incoming limb. This is as the filament crests into the wind coming from Aquarius, and you see a lateral influence. It has nothing to do with sunspots or coronal holes. It has everything to do with gravitationally focused helium doing that to our sun. So It was fun going back in time, just seeing how far ahead of ourselves we really were, how far ahead of time we were, how far ahead of news, and how far ahead of YouTube we were. And it's just so reassuring that all this work wasn't for nothing. Over 50,000 hours of man hours. And it's more than that. Gone into every single video and administrating and dealing with the garbage. It's been a lot of hours. And for those of you who are supporting us over on Patreon, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here today. And so it's you guys really take all the credit for me being here.